Today is our Board of County Commission regular meeting day. It's Tuesday, November 9th. It is 9 o'clock, and I want to call the meeting to order. If you will, the invocation will be led by Jeremy Ray of the Life Church, and then Pledge of Allegiance, and the ROTC will bring in the colors, so please rise if you're able to do so.
All right, let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you, God, for your mercies that are brand new every morning. God, we thank you, God, for, God, your grace that's upon this small community, God, we call home, God. And God, we thank you today, God, for the people in this room, God, the people, God, that have poured their heart out into Putnam County. God, the people that, God, love this community and the people that lives here, God. And God, we're just thankful for the faithful servants here in Putnam County. God, and we just, we come to you this morning, God, thanking you, God, for, as we remember all the veterans, God. God, the ones that have served faithfully, God. Those that have given their life, Lord, for our freedom. God, we thank you for their continued support, God, and how they continue to stand for freedom, God, not only in Putnam County, God, but for this great nation, Lord. God, I pray, God, that what was done and said here today, God, would bring honor and glory to you, God. God, we're just so thankful, God, for your goodness, God. Continue, God, to shed your grace and mercy upon us, God, and have your way, God, with the people here today, God, and the people in Putnam County, God. Continue to save the lost, God, to heal the sick, God, and bring restoration, God, where restoration is needed. We thank you in the matchless name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Mark time, Mark. Colors, Paul.
Commissioner Turner.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Left, face. Forward, mark.
Thank you, ROTC. Thank you, Pastor Jeremy Ray. Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Take a point of privilege real quick, and if I could have all the veterans in the room who've served our military, please stand. Veterans, if you'll join me here? We have a proclamation we're going to read. If you'll just gather right here with me. And Commissioner Rawls.
Whereas throughout U.S. history, Americans have kept a special, well-deserved place of honor in the hearts of our nation's veterans, and for more than 70 years, we've set aside November 11th to recognize the men and women who have so valiantly served our community, our country, first known as Armistice Day in 1947 and changed to Veterans Day in 1954.
Whereas on this day we pause to remember and pay tribute to these veterans whose courage and sacrifice have secured our freedom. And whereas in Putnam County we have over 10,000 veterans who have answered our country's call of duty. And whereas each Veterans Day our community celebrates and honors our veterans and invite all Americans to display their American flag and honor and pay tribute safely to our Americans who gave of themselves to keep us free.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, through the authority vested in me by the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, Florida, I do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2021 as Veterans Day in Putnam County, Florida, done, ordered, and adopted. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve.
Proper motion, proper second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. We're going to get a picture.
Thank you, Larry.
Come on, guys, come up here. We're going to get a picture. I think we should stay. You want to go down? Sure. Or we'll stay up. All right. Squish in a little bit. Thank you very much. Thank you. Commander, would you like to say a few words?
Good morning. I'd like to say that I served in Vietnam in 1969, 1970. I had many fellow veterans return home, and I had many that did not make it home. But we'd like to honor and preserve our Veterans Day. It's been a great honor, and we're planning on having a big ceremony this year. We have the parade on November 11th at 10 o'clock. It's going to be a huge parade. We're planning on doing a memorial afterwards on the down at the new park on the riverfront, and afterwards I'm planning on walking the bridge again like I did last year. This is in honor of our veterans who have lived and helped serve our great country. Again, I'd like to thank all the veterans and all the past veterans and all the people serving today. I have two of my children that are in the armed forces today. One has retired after 24 years with an E7 rank, and my daughter just got her E8 ranking, and she has 28 years in the Army Reserves. So with everybody that I've been dealt with and all the great friends I've had in the Veterans Organization, I'd like to say thank you, and I'd like to thank the county commissioners for this great day that they honor us with. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for all you've done. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Nicole and Lee for all their hard work on getting all the flags set up and everything done for us, and greatly appreciate it back there.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir, you may.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize our VSO and what they do for veterans as well. Because they do a lot for the veteran community. I can tell you personally, as a consumer in the past, that they do a terrific job.
You do. Thank you. All right. All right. That's why we live in the land of the free. No doubt about it. And I appreciate it. Gentlemen, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Are we in Port Authority or are we in?
No, we're in regular. Okay, we have proper motion by Commissioner Turner.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Adamsack. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We're going to recess the Board of County Commission meeting, start the Port Authority meeting, and the first item agenda is the Port Authority minutes on page 31 through 37 of your agenda.
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Rawls. Second by Mr. Pickens. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Now's the time for public comment on Port Authority items only. Is there any public comment on Port Authority items? Hearing none, we'll close that portion and we'll go to general discussion amongst commissioners. Commissioner Rawls, anything you need to discuss?
I just have one question, though.
Yes, sir.
Does the comp plan apply to the Port Authority? Just asking.
Well, that's the, Rich, yeah, I believe so. It'd be our,
I just wanted to point out that in the, when it's talking about water distribution, it says that under no circumstances are we to master meter anything, and we're master metering the port. So I think that just kind of to drive the nail in.
What'd you say, Jeff? I didn't understand you.
We're master metering the port, but the comp plan precludes that, so I just wanted to bring that to our attention. It says we're supposed to be individually metered, and we're not.
oh, the Port, I guess I don't understand.
The fireman that we've been talking about for a while is not, that we have one meter that we buy water from the city.
Oh, out at the port,
Right. At the-
but not Port Authority as a
Right,
whole.
just the port itself, yeah.
Okay, the port, but I thought you were going to bring something back on a solution to that or something.
The only, in my estimation, the rightful solution would be to eliminate that backflow and require all the businesses to have their own backflow and meter on their fire systems.
You're gonna get every.
Go ahead, Mr.
You're
Turner.
gonna get every business out there to put in a backflow preventer?
I think it's here, and here's the reason it's necessary. So the project that I'm working on, we're required to put a backflow, so we have a backflow behind a backflow now, which reduces water flow, number one. But the biggest thing is, if there's an issue with our backflow, the minute you shut it down, every hydrant from there on is shut down. There's one, and there's two valves on that backflow, and if you shut one of them down, you got nothing to the north of it. But just saying, just something we could start looking at doing.
Yeah,
The
I
easy thing would be to take take it out, put a spool piece of pipe in, but then you have to have everybody ready to go with their fire sprinkler systems, with their own backflow preventer, which should be checked every year as required. And
All right, we have two mics in here from Public Works. I guess you're taking notes. You're going to, okay. Thank you.
yeah, I've met with Troxel out there, and he understands.
I think maybe at the transportation, what I call all things Public Works meeting at the end of the month might be a good time to have that in-depth conversation. But Commissioner Rawls, thank you for bringing that up. Mr. Turner?
Before we spend a lot of time and effort on this, I think that it probably does need to go to a workshop for further discussion and a vote. And the reason I'm saying that is because you're gonna have a hard time getting me to take a workable system, maybe not be perfect by any means, but a workable system, and basically go in there and make all the businesses in the barge port put in backflow preventers, which are not cheap, to make a better system.
Well, here's one of the problems that's created. So, I have a hydrant meter that we own on a hydrant that's coming off a fire main. Who's paying the bill?
Okay, I think that would be a better conversation at the workshop.
Right.
So let's drill down at that point. Commissioner Rawls, I would ask that you get with Mike and Mike.
No, Mr. Trox and I met out there
Okay.
several months ago. This has been an ongoing conversation for
Yeah.
several months, so.
But it needs to benefit all the businesses out there if we can, and I agree that we don't, I'm sorry that if one goes down, everybody goes down. We don't need that for sure, but I think there's ways around that. So y'all get with him and get that straight. Mr. Pickens, anything general discussion wise?
No.
Mr. Adamsack?
Yeah, I guess I still would like to see us have a meeting where we specifically go into more depth of our plans for the Port Authority going forward. We got some things going on. We're talking about buying a piece of property. The port's getting dredged. I think at some point, we need to separate the finances of the park that's within the Port Authority and some other things that really aren't part of what the Port Authority does, in order for us to gauge how our finances are being spent as a Port Authority and what the results are. Because when we take money out and we do it to basically update a park or do something, and yeah, there is some economic benefit to updating the park, I get it. But that isn't the end goal of a Port Authority, is to own a park, I guess, is, in my opinion. Just where we could start making that a standalone agency with a vision and a purpose, whether we create that vision, we hire a port manager, and by port manager, I don't mean just to manage that little piece of property. I'm talking about to manage the whole of the county. Whether it's us or that person that we find someday, and just develop a plan and start thinking proactively. If we're talking about, we're gonna spend $1 million on this piece of property. We have the port with two, okay buildings, I guess, is the way I'll say it, to be nice. Just should start having a plan. I mean, that is part of our economic driver for this county going forward. And I think we need to start being real serious about it.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
I hope nobody in the room faints, but I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Adamsack on this. I really am. For a couple of years now, we've allowed Commissioner Rawls to be basically the Port Authority arm of the commission and look at things like this. So, but I totally agree. I think it's time that we try to start coming up with a real plan of some sort, and it may be a hair early to actually hire a port manager, because he's got to have something to manage, but it's not too early to try to come up with some type of a plan of where we're trying to get to. For instance, the dredging. We're not sure it's gonna happen yet. It's looking promising at this point, but we're not sure it's gonna happen yet. And once it does, we definitely need a plan that if it does or if it doesn't. I don't know when we're supposed to talk about the Newcastle deal, or if we're going to, but I'm not quite sure. But that's an issue also that's right next door that's got to be discussed today sometime, either this morning or this afternoon, because something's gonna happen to it next week. And so we've got to actually have a discussion on that. So, either this morning or this afternoon. Terry, did you, or Mr. Suggs, did you know, were we gonna talk about it this afternoon?
We can talk about it this afternoon, Commissioner Turner. I don't have any more information than what you now have already kind of.
Well, because I can't talk to the fellow commissioners, I don't know if they all even know about it. But basically, there's a sale next week that's a possibility that the 18 acres right next door to us at Newcastle may go up for auction. I don't know. I guess there's ways it could stop. So, I mean, I think it's that anybody that has any questions about it probably needs to go see what information staff has been able to gather, if any. I don't know. I mean, it's just basically an auction, and that's all that I've been able to personally find out about it. So, maybe we could discuss it at the port this afternoon, Mr. Chairman, at the Port Authority. I think it is a Port Authority item, is the reason I'm bringing it up during the Port Authority portion of the meeting. But yes, I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Adamsack. I do believe that we need to start coming up with some type of a plan or a vision of what we see the port doing at some point, other than just being an economic development generator, which it has been in the past. Maybe we could take it to a higher level with a little planning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Mr.
Rawls,
Chairman?
you had a comment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Suggs, go ahead.
Just as a brief follow-up while we're discussing Port Authority, we are working on putting a meeting together with with some folks that will help lay out the plan and the future look of what it is that we're trying to accomplish out there. That is the next phase of the project itself, is development of the feasibility and the marketability and things of that nature for the port. So We're looking at sometime after session is over, probably in December, maybe the 1st of January, putting a meeting together here where everybody will be able to attend and have some further conversation. So we're all back on the same page with that project.
Well, that's probably the next step.
Good deal. Okay, Mr. Rawls?
Pertaining to Commissioner Adams' comment, I agree. You know, somebody asked me, instead of making improvements to Triangle Park, why we would not consider moving Triangle Park to a different location and making that, because that property does have a lot higher and better use, especially where it sits at the intersection of 19 and 17. So I'd like us to have that conversation potentially. And then as far as the Newcastle, one of the issues with that is that there's not just the debt service on the building. Apparently, the sale of the property could bring more money than is owed. But then there's other debt obligations that are out there that we need to look into. So I sent that to Mr. Commando. Do you have enough time between now and this afternoon, you think, to research that, or?
We can talk about it.
Is that could be a deal breaker, depending on if they're, you know, whether or not the liens go away if the auction happens. I don't know if the liens stay on the property. So we need to look into that, because it could be we're, you know, buying a pig at a poke.
That's basically what we've been discussing, the staff and I have, for over like a week and a half now.
Any idea what that total number is?
No, I don't. I know that there's $3 million owed on the property that they could, but there's so many different things that could be going on here that we're just not seeing. They could be buying down debt and they got to buy it back. They're still operating.
Right, yeah.
Closed down.
The bank's
there's
probably the highest
There's
and
all
best.
kind of things that could be going on.
All right.
And the last thing I want to do, and I'm assuming it's all right to say this, and if not, I'll get the stare from Miss Young. But if the Keith family are trying to buy down their debt through this process, this commissioner ain't getting in the way of them trying to prolong their business and do things like they need to be doing. I'm not gonna vote for that, but I haven't been able to find out what's going on yet. But like you said, they're shy of doing a full-blown title search on it to find out what liens have attached. The IRS liens, if there's any of them, they're not gonna get wiped out, and there's certain liens that this auction wouldn't wipe out. And the mortgages, it would probably wipe out, but the liens, I doubt it would, if there's any even there. And then you got code liens, they might not, I don't think there is any on the property, but if they were, they wouldn't get wiped out, you know. But code lien may not even show up on a title search sometimes. So it's just, there's some things going on here that I haven't been able to figure out when looking at it for the last couple of weeks. So, but we're gonna have to discuss it today on if we're gonna proceed at all or leave it alone, or what. I just don't know what to do, because it's gonna happen next week,
And
whatever's happening.
it's a very valuable piece of property for any future for the port. I mean,
I agree.
that's waterfront.
All right, we'll have that discussion this afternoon at workshop, at Port Workshop, so appreciate that conversation so far. One thing I have, Mr. Suggs, have we heard back from our offer on the GP property?
Yes, sir. I've got we've been bouncing emails back and forth. We're trying to get a meeting scheduled for this Friday, teleconference this Friday, to move forward on some more further discussions on what we're doing. We've got we're working on getting our quote and our timeline for our due diligence for the environmental study. So, yes, sir, we're moving forward. I'm hoping to have a call scheduled for Friday.
Thank you. All right, we're going to end our Port Authority meeting, go back, recall our Board of County Commission meeting, and I've asked Commissioner Pickens to read the proclamation. If Hospice, Haven Hospice would meet me at the guys?
Good morning. Good morning.
Putnam County Proclamation Number 2021-88, National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, November 2021. Whereas for more than 40 years, Haven has helped provide comfort and dignity to the thousands of people in North Florida, allowing them to live their last months, weeks, or days comfortably with the people they love. whereas Haven utilizes an interdisciplinary team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, comprehensive pain management, and a foundation of care. Whereas beyond providing physical treatment, Haven attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services like respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas Haven provides community-based palliative care or delivers expertise to improve quality of life and relief from pain and can be provided at many times during illness. Whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrates how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patient. Whereas every year, 1.5 million Americans living with life-limited illnesses and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs and communities throughout the United States, including Haven. Whereas Haven is an advocate and educator about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. Whereas the Centers for Medical and Medicaid Services have pledged to put patients first in all of its programs, including hospice, ensuring a coordinated and patient-led approach to care, protecting patients' choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care needs and wishes.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Larry Harvey, by virtue of the authority vested in me by Putnam County, do hereby proclaim November 2021 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, discuss their end-of-life wishes with their families, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Do we have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Move approval. Got a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Matt, do y'all want to join us? You're going to stand in front of us, and we'll stand behind you. I think we can see over. Just teasing. Come on. Matt, you got the end down there?
I do.
Good. Everybody else there? Good. You gonna see over Crystal?
I'm with Crystal's phone.
You've been kindergarten.
I've been in the front all my life, I promise. Well, I would just want to thank you again for the opportunity to come and receive the proclamation. We do this every November. This year I decided to do a little something different instead of you guys listening to me talk. I brought one of our care center nurses. This is Rachel. A lot of you probably know her mom. Emily Blevins, but she's one of our care center nurses, and she recently cared for a patient in our care center, and I wanted her to come kind of share the story with you guys today. So this is Rachel.
Thank you guys for having me. I did write the story down, so forgive me for using my phone, but it was such a beautiful and touching story, and it's went in length so much that I felt like I should try to minimize it a little bit. So, honoring life by providing comfort, care, and compassion. You never know the story behind the person that you're taking care of. And with hospice, we get the time to listen and learn the life story behind our patients. I got to know our friend Robbie because he was sent to the Roberts Care Center for pain management, and he was ready to give up. He told us his story about being an immigrant from Ireland and his visa had expired. With no income for a cell phone, he quickly lost contact with his family. Robbie and I talked day after day about his life and his lost family. After some time, he asked me to see what I could do to rekindle his relationship with his family after 30 years. Well, with the help of Facebook, I was able to find them. They FaceTimed us right away, and with so many joyful tears, they reunited. For 6 weeks, they spoke via video chat on a tablet that we set up in his room. You truly seen a change in Robbie. He had more life, and he didn't have the feeling of being alone anymore. When it come time for Robbie's last days, we set up the tablet and his family talked him through it all. They also had the opportunity to join Robbie and his priest during his last rites ceremony. Robbie lost his battle with lung cancer on September 10th. Since he was reunited with his family, our friend was able to be sent home to Ireland where he was buried with his mother and father as he wished. Hospice is a great place to work, and I hope anyone that has to call on to hospice for their loved one gets to feel the relief that Robbie and his family felt, knowing that he was not alone, he was comfortable, and he was at peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
What Rachel failed to mention was that she was the individual that orchestrated all of this. So she was the one that reached out to the family on Facebook, made that connection, and allowed him to have those last days. So
It was a beautiful thing, and, you know, we're all still in contact now, and he just had the best, you know, end-of-life experience, and then burial at home. I mean, it was just beautiful. We got to see all the pictures, and it brought all of our Haven nurses so much joy, and it's awesome. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
recognizing
Mr. Adams,
us.
you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to, I've had the unfortunate event of losing 2 loved ones in the last 2 years, or 3 years, I guess it is, now just about 3 years. And both went through hospice, one in New York and one here. And I do want to say I appreciate everything that Haven Hospice did for my stepfather here just a couple months ago. And your service is definitely top-notch. The people that came to our house, both the men and the women, the chaplain, the social worker, the nurses. I just appreciate you guys.
Thank you. That meant so much.
thank you, guys. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And that was a great testimony of the job you do and the abilities God gave you. Okay. Next item on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. Is there anybody in the public that would like to come and speak to us about any item on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll close that section of the meeting and go to the consent agenda, and I'll start with my far right. Mr. Adamczak, is there any items you'd like to pull?
Not at this time.
Mr. Turner?
I have none.
Mr. Pickens?
I have none.
Mr. Rawls?
I have none.
And I have none. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Proper motion by Commissioner Turner,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Clerk of the Court, the Honorable Matt Reynolds. That was quick today, wasn't it?
It was pretty quick. Kind of shocked.
I think we got moved.
I have nothing to add this morning, sir, but I'll be attending the workshop this afternoon, so I'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys
sir.
this afternoon.
Appreciate your guidance on that. Thank you. Appointments, I'll start with my far left. Commissioner Rawls?
I reached out to John Browning. He did express an interest in serving on the fishing fund, so I would like to nominate him to remain on the fishing fund.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Rawls. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
That's the only one that I have.
Thank you. Mr. Pickens?
I have an appointment, but on the Affordable Housing Committee, we had this removed once. Tammy Wendell, because of changes in her job, is not able to fulfill that commitment, so she actually resigned. So if we could take her off of there, and I'll try to find an appointment. We had her off once, but I don't know why it got put back on, so.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Adamczak?
I have none.
Commissioner Turner?
Mr. Chairman, this afternoon, we have one of our items at workshop this afternoon is talking about the Parks and Rec Committee and redoing it. I think it would be appropriate if y'all do to just go ahead and move it up now and handle it this morning.
I have no problem with that.
I think it's a very good idea that they do that because obviously Commissioner Pickens and Commissioner and the administrator and the head of parks can't talk because it's out of the sunshine. So time out what?
Rich says we can't do that here.
It's not on our agenda. Yeah, we'll wait then.
Okay, well,
All right.
we'll wait till this afternoon then. That's what lawyers is good for, getting in the way of what you want to do.
Or guiding you in the proper direction that you need to go.
I guess that's a different opinion, huh?
And last Friday was Happy Lawyers Day. I hope you recognize that, right?
Yeah, sure. All right,
I did.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
And I have none. County Administrator, Mr. Terry Suggs.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I believe we're good today. Thank you so much.
Good deal. County Attorney, Mr. Rich Commando. Last Friday was your favorite attorney day, so lawyer day, right?
It was.
It was.
Did you
But
get
I have
flowers
no-
or something?
Pardon?
Did you get flowers or something?
Not that I'm aware of. So.
Judge Boatwright didn't even know it was a day. He said, "You got to be kidding me," right? So
Honestly, I didn't know it was a day either, but
there's a day for everything anymore. But Julianne posted it on Facebook, so that's how I knew, because she congratulated her two favorite lawyers. So,
I have a third. Rich is a close third.
okay, good.
I appreciate that.
But
I'm
you're
glad I'm on the
related to the
list.
first two.
Good
I
save.
don't have any other report.
Thank you, Mr. Commando. Okay, starting to my far left then, Mr. Rawls, you have any commissioner comments you'd like to make?
Last night I was at the Boston Community Association meeting and was approached by a gentleman from regarding St. John's Harbor. This has been going back and forth. When I first got elected, there was the belief was that if 50% or more of the residents responded, or if people didn't respond to the request for an MSBU for paving, then it would be counted, but then that.
Can I intercept the ball? Nilda has been working very diligently on some new rules.
Well, where this goes to is, apparently you had a conversation with one of them and told him that the commission can impose the MSBU, and he said, what would it take to get the commission to do
Okay.
this? So,
She's working on that and going to bring it back to us at transportation at the end of this month.
Okay.
With some alternatives going on that went back and forth, so
but can we just unilaterally impose an MSBU on an area
Rich
like
can
that?
answer that question. Yes, you can.
Okay.
The board can do whatever they want to do,
Yeah, but in all
but in all fairness,
do you really want to shove it down 60% of the
this
people
was told-
throats
this was-
that lives there because 40% do?
No, this was told, when Commissioner Harvey said the board can do this, I was caught off guard, and I said, you want to come and speak? I said,
it's fine.
you know, what, if we can do this, he said, well, Larry's doing this in his district, why aren't you doing it in ours? And I said, wait a minute, this is not what I was told. This thing's been going on and on for 3 years that I
We
know
did
of.
not do it in
I
his
think
district.
part of the confusion may also be that for a short period of time, the commission voted to allow a non-sent letter back as a yes vote.
Correct,
Our attorney told us that was not legal.
right.
So we had to go back to the old rule to where it had to be a certain percent actually sent the letter in for a yes vote. We couldn't just count that as a yes vote when they didn't answer. So that's where some of the confusion may have come about. We tried that for a little while and found out it wasn't legal.
Well, the citizens are starting to get aggravated. They don't like the new company that was hired. They're not doing a good job. And, you know, and we just started with the new MSBU a month ago. This is all fresh. So now they're wanting to go to pavement, and if it's at all possible, they want to have the conversation. So
May I
if Nilda's working on it,
She is, and she's going to bring back some alternatives at the next transportation meeting, and what her and Rich, and they've been working with Mike and the 3 Mile on the house. I just like saying it. It's kind of fun. But let me clean up something if you don't mind. What I had said was back years ago, one of the first MSBU's was in the Hollister area, okay, in the Dunham Woods area. And that one, the commissioners did basically say, this is good for the community. John Eubanks, Sam Taylor, some of the old guys.
But didn't they put it on when the thing was put in to start with,
Right.
not later on?
Right, they put that
So it's
in.
easy to put an excuse me.
You
for
did, you're doing
interrupting,
right, yep.
But it's easy to put an MSBU on a subdivision if none of the lots have sold yet, because then
Right.
you buy them
You
with
know.
that already on there.
Correct.
But to put it in later on and the subdivision's already bought out or sold out, it's hard for me to get there unless at least 60% of the people in there, like we want now, vote to put it in. Then I'm all on board, but what I've found in my district, several people have tried the MSBU's that are real interested in doing it, but you get a 10 to 15% of the people that are actually willing to pay additional taxes for the paved road. And when they see that that doesn't come back, yes, those 10 or 15% are upset, but the other 75 to 85% are pretty happy about it.
Right.
That they'd rather have the dirt road. So we've got to leave it in there and make it fair. I mean, this is, I think.
No, I agree. I wanted to clarify that. I'd ask him to come in and talk if it's okay for him to speak.
I will, I'll allow it in just a moment, okay?
I just wanted to make sure that I was clear because I was caught off guard, last night, you know, when Tony said, if y'all can do this, we voted as an MSBU, we want to go to pavement. And I was like, whoa, last thing I heard, there was supposed to be a consensus of the.
I think you want a consent. I don't know how you'd want to be a dictatorship and not,
Right.
you know, but at the same time, what I was telling them when I was out there, when that board decided at that time, they were only going to listen to the people that lived in that area, not the people that bought land and lived somewhere else. So there was some things, you know, if they lived up north or something, they just really wanted to hear from those people. And I tell you what, the people were still upset. I remember it was a very contentious meeting. They were escorted out by the sheriff's department, and but now if you tore those roads up with a bulldozer, you'd be escorted out.
Right.
So, I mean, there was good and bad, but I think it needs to be tweaked a lot, and Nilda's going to be bringing that to us at the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay?
Want to speak?
I'm going to ask him to do it in just a moment, okay? Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think the commissioners all received an invitation to the Crescent City Library's open house celebrating 100 years of service to the community. It's from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, I believe, the November 18th, if everybody wants to come. And yesterday, we discussed having a couple of town hall meetings to have public input for the ARPA funds, and you asked me to set one up on the 22nd.
I did.
In District 1, so it will be held at South Putnam Church, the Cube, which is the old YMCA, 284 Union Avenue, Crescent City. So, and we'll start that at 6 p.m.
What day was that?
The 22nd, Monday the 22nd.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Anything
Okay.
else?
And yes, since I have Antonio Jenkins in the room, from Guardian and the commissioners and our legal counsel. You remember a month or two ago, we got a request from Cassie Goodwin to modify the process, I guess, for the SHIP loan, where she would be able to move the county to second secured and put a lending institution in the number one spot so she could receive a HELOC loan. So I wanted to discuss that with Antonio. Antonio, do you mind coming up front? From discussing this with Rich, it doesn't look like this would have to be part of the LHAP actually planned, that this would just be a policy change that the county would do, but I just want to get your opinion on that, Antonio, and thank you for coming up this morning.
Not a problem. Good morning, everyone.
Antonio, could you pull the microphone up close? There you go, sir.
Everybody usually tells me I speak too loud, so that's the first time I've had to do that. But as it relates to, because it's your subordination policy, there was an existing subordination policy that we've utilized in the past, but we could not find, working with Tabitha through the legal office, where that subordination policy was adopted. It's just that old. So in order to facilitate what Ms. Goodwin is asking us to do, we would need to update that subordination policy. Now, that subordination policy can be a standalone specific policy that is used for your housing rehabilitation programs or any other housing programs or grant programs related to housing, or any program where you put a lien or have a deferred payment lien as a security mechanism. Though it can be a standalone policy, It also can be added into a housing assistance plan or your local housing assistance plan based on your preference. But it can be a standalone policy. And in that policy, it will need to outline, what the parameters are for subordinating a lien and what constitutes a valid request for subordination and or an invalid request.
We went through that not too long ago, didn't we?
This is the same one.
Okay.
Same one. So again, it can be a standalone policy that can or cannot be inserted based on preference into your housing assistance plan
So
or
that's
your
still
local
going
housing
on?
assistance plan.
Mr. Rawls, you have the floor, sir? Okay.
So obviously, it should be in the LHAP. That'll make life a lot easier. But would we not want to put this in the housing element as well in the comp plan? So we have a standalone for anything besides LHAP?
Well, I don't know that it would
No,
go
as a
into
policy,
that at
honestly,
all.
it doesn't even need to be in the LHAP, because the LHAP would require approval from Florida Housing. If it's something that the board decides you want to pursue as a policy, it should
Sure.
remain as just a
But when we're
policy.
dealing with Florida housing money, I thought that the LHAP drove that.
It drives the strategies, yeah. That
But-
drives
And
your
this
income
is
limits.
Florida housing money, correct?
Yeah, but if we
It's
don't.
for the housing policy, but it's a standalone policy.
Right,
You
it's
can
a
make reference in the LHAP to the
Okay.
Putnam County
Policy.
policy.
Okay.
Right.
So my question is, why wouldn't we put the policy in the housing element and then refer to it in the LHAP, and then we've got it covered?
I think if we're trying to solve a problem, we can solve it pretty quick. Okay, are you done? Do
Yeah.
I have Mr. Adams, you're next, and then Mr. Turner.
I'm all for updating a policy, especially if we can't find one that was originated or approved, so I think we should do that. I don't know that I'll get to the point where I agree with updating it to allow for what we talked about the last time for this particular instance, but we definitely should have a policy, so I'm all for, if we need to give consent to write a new policy to whoever does it and moving that forward and then having us approve it at some point. I think that's a great idea.
Mr. Turner?
That's almost exactly what I was gonna say, so I don't need to add much to that.
Okay, so Mr. Pickens, you brought
Is that
this.
still going on?
Well, she's still,
No, we voted to try to subordinate, we didn't?
No, I don't think we ever did. So
Voted
that's the
not
thing.
to
If the-
subordinate?
if the-
voted not to.
Yeah.
We couldn't at the time.
That's why I just wanted clarification today to see if we can look at a policy that might address this.
Okay, so what's your end game here, Mr. Pickens? Are you going to bring back to the board a policy by working with Mr. Commando and Guardian?
I can do that.
Would that be something that,
That will work.
and then you bring back just a policy statement that the board could adopt at that point? Is that what I'm hearing?
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, Mr. Rawls?
The other housing authorities, or housing
Look at that.
boards committees you're working with, what do they have, what other counties?
It's a mix, truthfully. Some people have the entire policy in their housing assistance plan or LHAP. Again, it's not required. Other people just reference it.
What I'm saying is, do you have something you can send Mr. Commando, send him 2 or 3 versions that you see out there? And
I do. I will.
Reinvent the wheel.
I will. I think Mr. Pickens and I have exchanged some language before too. So I'll send that, and then I'll send a couple of other examples from other counties of similar size with a similar program for review.
Plagiarism is good.
It always is.
Mr. Adams,
Yeah, so, I mean, we had a policy, so.
Oh,
it
I'm
just-
sorry.
That's fine. Do
Okay.
you want to go first?
No, go right
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I mean, I wouldn't stray too far from the policy that we already talked about.
Do we have a policy? I thought you said-
We had one, but it hasn't been shown where
We
it
have
was
an
approved.
unofficial policy.
You have an unofficial policy.
Okay.
But that is also what I will include in the bundle. That way you can review, and I'll make
Right.
note that this is
Well,
your
it's an
existing.
official policy, it's
Right.
probably, we just can't find.
Can't find it.
That's all.
We just
So-
don't know when it was adopted.
That's
but
right.
it's
So
been
we're good.
followed long
I
enough.
retract that.
Yeah, I
statement.
retract my unofficial
that
to
statement.
official.
So I'll just say this, I wouldn't stray too far from that policy if you want my support.
Gotcha. Mr. Turner,
Well,
sorry.
that's kind of what I was gonna say again, so, are you sure you're not reading my mind this morning on things?
notes, I can't.
He's psychopath.
I think we just need to make sure that the subordination policy
hope
was
we
put
not
there
do
for the protection of the county and the protection of the ship fund. So it's not we just need to make sure we remain with that protection of some sort.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Pickens, you still have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Last but not least, I would like to wish my wife of 34 years,
Yes.
Holly, a happy birthday today. And how we celebrate birthdays in the Pickens family is I'm at a county commission meeting and then a workshop, and she was at a meeting this morning that has a 3:30 school board meeting, and then we'll wrap it up with a fundraiser tonight. So anyway, happy birthday.
Very good, very good. Mr. Adams, aye.
I wish Miss Holly a happy birthday on Facebook earlier this morning. But no, a great lady. Really appreciate the work that she does in our county. So happy birthday, Holly, as well. As far as the meetings for ARPA, I still would like to see a schedule one for the 29th or another date in the greater Plaque area to cover the surrounding areas, including Pine Isle, Francis, Hollister, Bostwick, Barden, East Plaque, all the people that probably aren't going to travel out to West Putnam and Interlochen or South Putnam and Crescent City in the evening. I'd like to hear their voice. That is our population center. It's just, I think we should have that meeting.
Thank you, Mr.
Give them the
Adams.
same access, and I guess if I have to make a motion to have that meeting, I'll do that. I make a motion that we have a meeting in the evening on the 29th in this room to discuss ARPA.
I'll second that.
Okay, and
Under discussion.
under discussion, let me just say, the reason I did not set that meeting is it's quite obvious that on the 23rd, we're going to be changing chairmanship, and I wanted to leave that up to the new chairman when they got here, so that's why I did not set that up. That's why I went to the 22nd, because the 23rd, historically, we change chairmanships. That's what I was trying to get to and allow our new chairman at that point to be able to set that meeting. Mr. Turner,
If I
under
may,
discussion.
Not only that, we had a ARPA meeting here yesterday for the area. Nobody showed up. It was advertised. It was a special meeting advertised. I believe it was in the paper. So now what we think more people will come because it's gonna be in the evening? Is that
Yes,
what-
sir. Absolutely. I believe that.
Well, I'm not gonna vote for a meeting just to have a meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Rawls, did you?
It wouldn't be a meeting to have a meeting, it'd be a meeting to get input from the public on what they want to do with the ARPA money.
Did it yesterday.
Yeah, but we also didn't have the information that we're having staff generate for the other two meetings. We didn't have any of that data. We didn't have any of the ideas, any of the needs from the staff members that we're requesting to be
There's not a
presented
final
to the community.
determination on
The
ARPA yet.
information that you asked them not to prepare for the meetings coming
okay.
up.
But the same access to the stuff.
Okay, we have a proper motion, proper
I
second.
wasn't finished yet. There's not been a final determination yet on the viable uses of the fund. I think it benefits the public, and anything we can do to benefit the public is part of our job. So I obviously think we should be having the meeting. When I spoke to the mayor yesterday, he agreed, anything that, if there's any chance that we can joint venture with the city on, especially on projects that involve ARPA money, we should be discussing that. And, you know, I think that the greater Palaca area would be done a disservice if we didn't have a meeting in the middle. So, you know, we've got Bostwick, Barden, down the Pine Isle area, you know, got a lot of population out in this area that could possibly attend.
Mr. Pickens, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with that. I mean, we're gonna have the two, one in the west end, one in the south end. It's one more meeting. I'm not just wanting to meet, but I think we probably owe it to the community to go ahead and have one here also. It'll be in the evening, so there'll be really, you know, less excuses of why they couldn't come and give their input. That's three meetings. So, but I am concerned on how you're gonna advertise this. Is because, I guess you're gonna do it Facebook, is there gonna be anything in the newspaper? Cause I still hear, you know, that they didn't know about it, you know, so.
I don't think
can we
Facebook
generate-
is that
Can we
great.
generate some flyers where we could put them around in businesses and stuff like that with all three of them on there? And I'll put them down in South Putnam, distribute them to some of the churches and stuff like that.
I got a question on Facebook real quick. I've noticed that, and I don't get on Facebook very often, but I see the same people, the same thing every time. Is there, I don't ever see anything from the BOCC on my Facebook news feed or whatever. Is there a reason for that, or?
I think they post all the time.
I know, but what I'm saying is, and other people tell me they post, but I don't see it. It's not just BOCC, I think there's something with Facebook with their
We ought
algorithm.
to call Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I think Facebook just don't like you.
Well, there we go. That's a good comment. So, all right, ending on that comment, thank you. We got a proper motion, proper second to have a meeting on the 29th again. I'm not upset about the meeting. I just wanted to let our new chairman at that time.
Chances are one of
do
the
meeting.
5 of us will be
Mr.
chairman.
Rawls, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. It was unanimous. Mr. Adamczak, you still have the floor. Is there any other items you'd like to discuss?
I'm now just really honored at the presence that we had here for veterans, and the parade is going forward this year, so that's exciting. I actually don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to the parade or not, because my other job hasn't let me off work yet, but I'm working on that, so I'm hoping that I'll be at the parade and then some other things throughout the community. So just look forward to all that in the coming weekend.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
I have nothing to add today, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
And I have a few things I want to say. I want to thank, I do want to wish Holly happy birthday. There is not a more finer person, in my opinion, than the Pickens family in politics. Both of them. I'll say that out publicly. I think the world of them, and Holly is a very genuine person who has a lot of heart for this community, as her husband does too. Also look forward to Veterans Day. It's a special time. It is about the veterans and not about me. I will be in the parade thanking the veterans, but it is about them. And parade's at 10 o'clock, and don't know exactly where the lineup is, but we'll get to that. And that's all I have to say. So thank you. We're going to end our commissioner comments. Go to public comment. Sir, come on up now, and you could. And I appreciate your patience waiting on that. I am sorry you're going through some problems with your MSBU contractor. There is a new one, as you know, and you are the chair of the Citizens Committee out there, so you know the channels to go through with Nilda and Public Works and getting that straight. I'm assuming there are going to be some hiccups. There has been out in the West Putnam area too. So, yes, sir.
Okay, again, I'm Bill Thompson, live 123 Kingfish, Palatka. It's out in St. John's Harbor.
Right.
I'm the chairman of the MSBU committee for the roads. The county recently redid the contract. The old contract expired, new contract. The cost of that contract is through the roof. And if doing the math, we have roughly $22,000. If we just grade the roads for the next 6 months, we're broke. No other maintenance, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's unsustainable, and something different has to be done. You know, that's the primary gist of me coming here today. We had a meeting last month and discussed it. We have another meeting coming up Monday, the 15th. I invite all of you to come if you want. You're more than welcome at the Bostwick Community Center at 6 o'clock.
We have a meeting in Interlaken for ARPA funds.
Yeah.
So we'll be out there, the ones that want to attend. Yes, sir.
So, but, you know, we're just looking for a solution to move forward. The new contractor has not had a chance to prove himself at this point. We understand that, but we're not willing to pay more money for the same service we've been receiving for the last 20 years. It's just not working.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, paving, yeah, we'd love to have the roads paved. You know, but just, there's got to be some way of getting it done. Not sure what that is. You know, I've heard so many stories over the last 18 years that I've lived here that, you know, we don't have enough time left in this day to discuss all that. So, you know, I know there's MSBU roads out there in this county that's been paved by Better Place Plan and Dirt to Pavement and all those other programs. But for some reason, you know, we keep getting pushed to the side. You know, you want it paved, dig in your pocket. And, you know, I don't know the answer to that, but somewhere we got to find one.
Well, I had grave concerns when those bids came out, when we had to go out for bid, number one. But the one, yours and the one in South Putnam, are the two farthest points. And economy of scale. You drove around with me out in West Putnam. You drove around in ILE North and South. You can spend the whole month out there and hardly ever leave the community. But in your area, you got to truck all that equipment out there, and it's costly. So yeah, I agree that something's got to be done going into the future.
I mean, just the cost of bleeding went from $275 a mile to $1,250 a mile.
Yeah.
That's like 400% increase.
Been to the grocery store lately?
Yeah, I know, it's just getting crazy. I agree.
Aren't you looking at that, Commissioner Harvey, the price structure of the MSBU's?
We
Isn't that
are.
something y'all are gonna look at this year?
We are, and Nilda, like I said, on the 23rd at 2:00, she'll be making a presentation on that. And the idea was to actually go to actual numbers of what it costs. That might not benefit yours, but we're gonna see about that. So just kind of hang in there with us if you don't mind, and I know you're out there. I know Commissioner Rawls knows you're out there, and the rest of us do. And I think there's got to be a solution for your area very, very soon. Mr. Rawls, you have a comment you'd like to make, sir?
Bill, can y'all be here on the 23rd?
I am going to be out of town,
How about
personally.
That's okay.
No.
We can represent you.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I will.
Tony, just, if Nilda's going to present that, that'll help give some clarity, but if a majority of your folks are telling us to impose the MSBU, that's one thing. But if there's not a majority, I don't think it's in y'all's best interest.
Yeah, well, one thing that was discussed at the last meeting is if we can get on the pavement plan, we know it's not gonna happen overnight. You know, it may take 2 years, it may take 3 years, you know? Yeah, but, you know, then we could probably get the committee to push an increase in fees to cover this contract. But it's gonna have to have a termination date.
But I
We're
think
not
there's
gonna throw
other-
that out there and continue it for the next 10, 15 years and live with the same crappy roads.
Well, I think over the weekend, we saw some ARPA I'm sorry, Mr. Rawls, you have
Go
the
ahead.
floor.
Go ahead.
You know, we saw Congress pass some different funds for roads and bridges. Don't know what that means yet. I have my own thoughts on some of those dollars coming down if they do. Surely I'd like to help those who have helped themselves. No doubt, I feel very strongly about that. I always have felt very strongly about that. So, you know, I think there's solutions, and we just got to find, there's solutions out there, let me assure you.
When you say Nilda's bringing dollars, she'll know what St. John's Harbor will cost to pave that night or that day?
Well, we can figure that up pretty easily. We know it's around $350,000 to $400,000 a mile to turn dirt to pavement. We know that going into it.
It's 4.3
Now-
miles.
I'm sorry?
4.3 miles, you can do the
So
math quickly.
we know that.
Matt, do you still have the numbers? Remember the meeting we attended you still have those numbers by any chance of what it would cost per?
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the premature.
Back and look to
discussion
see
of
if I
this.
still have them somewhere. I'm sure I probably do, but I'd have to look through my
All right,
my
we're gonna,
electronic records.
we'll finish this up at transportation, okay? So
Okay.
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bill.
Mr. Rawls, I appreciate that. And is there any other public comment on miscellaneous items? Seeing Mr. Killebrew rushing to the podium to speak. I'm sorry. Was I being facetious?
Ed Killebrew, 146 Barden Estate Circle.
Good morning, Mr. Killebrew.
Morning. One thing in all my time I took yesterday, I forgot to say. We would like to invite you as a county commission, anybody else here that would like to come out on Fridays and see what is done at Epicure. I know this is short notice, Tuesday to Friday, but this coming Friday would be a good Friday for you to come see what's going on. The Church of Latter-day Saints, they'll be they bring us a big supply of hard products, canned goods, things like that on once a month. The Shepherd's House, I believe is what it's called, in Orlando, will be bringing up a big supply of food this weekend or this Friday. It's going to be a busy Friday, just not only for the people that are coming in and giving food or getting food, but the people that will be supplying us food. And you'll be able to see exactly how it works, how it's moved, how it's shepherded to the cars and stuff like that. So I just wanted to invite you all so that, you know.
What time?
Usually about 10 o'clock is when things start really happening out there. Things start coming in, tow motors start running, things like that. The delivery, at that point in time in the mornings, you'll be able to see the cars on the side of the road. You know, the people that are there coming in to be given to you. And then at 1, well, as hard as we can get it going, if we can get it going before 1, we try to get it going before 1 so the people aren't out there all day. But the giveaway is advertised from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. And I apologize, I'm not coming up here to berate you, beat you in the head, or anything else this morning. This is strictly an invitation.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Killiver. Mr. Suggs, you got one final comment?
Yes, sir, I failed to mention it, and I think it's very appropriate to mention this time that we actually have a football program here in Putnam
Oh,
County.
we do, that's right.
The Palatka Panthers 10 and under football team ended their season undefeated, won their league championship, and they're in the first round of the state playoffs tomorrow night here at Palatka High. So I want to wish them all the luck that we can wish them and support. And I also want to give a special shout out to Miss Julianne Young this morning, whose son is a starter on the 10 and under Palatka Panther football team. So she reluctantly allowed him to play football, and now this is her life because it's going to potentially go through Thanksgiving. So, but again, to all the young men and the coaches on that during that program, I think they've done an outstanding job. I've had the opportunity to go and watch them twice, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of fun to watch those young men out there playing ball and know that they're representing Putnam County and they're doing a great job at it. So congratulations to the Palatka Panthers 10 and under football team.
And I happened to be out in Interlachen when they were playing at the stadium and got my picture taken with these young men. And maybe they can make an appearance here in our chambers one day in uniform. That would be really great. So
Right now, we're at practice.
I got it. I got it. All right. Thank you all very much. And there's nothing else, no other public comments. We're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. See you at 2 o'clock.